Please, please call us. We just want to know that you're okay. If anybody has any information, please get in touch with us.
That was the parents of missing person Aiden Dungan. Now, some people are looking into this case and saying, oh, it's just someone else that's running off to do drugs. They don't want to be in contact with their family. There might be a chance that that's what's going on here. But does that mean that we're going to stop looking? I think you guys know me better than that. It's time to turn on the searchlight for Aiden Dungan. Welcome to Brainscratch Searchlight. I'm John Lorden. Thank you so much for spending some time with me here today and for helping me raise exposure to another missing persons case. We gotta always keep in mind this isn't just about the missing person, it's about their friends and their family that are also suffering while something like this is going on. So let's start by taking a look. Unfortunately, there isn't a NamUs profile for Aiden yet. I'm not sure if his family has started one or if the authorities have started one and it just hasn't posted. We're going to see as we get into the details here. It seems like there was a little lag in terms of him actually being identified as a missing person. I think it only happened about a month ago at this point, even though he's been missing since November. So we'll get to all that. But let's start with an article here at MauiNow.com. And I think this article kind of points towards some of what I've been seeing as insensitivity by some people that are commenting on this case, but let's review it. Police are requesting the public's help in locating Aiden Dungan, 24, who was reported missing by family members. Police say family members reported last hearing from Dungan in November of 2019. Now, this is obviously a pretty typical press release that's been shot out from law enforcement, but we can see the date on this is February 7th, 2020. So for him missing since November, this is happening kind of late. He was reported to have moved to Maui from Kauai in September of 2019. Police say he's believed to be homeless within the Wailuku area. He is described as a 24-year-old standing 5 foot 11 inches tall, weighing 150 pounds with brown hair and blue eyes. So a couple things I'm concerned about here. Right off the bat, he only moved to this area in September and he goes missing in November. So we're going to get some more details. There's a little bit more to that story. They're assuming that he's homeless. I think it was just a bad way of wording that, and we're going to find out more details why they think that. I don't think it's necessarily a bad assumption, but coming out in a press release like this, if you look at the comments, and I'm not even going to go into them because I don't want to raise exposure to people that are obviously looking for attention or just have severely cold hearts, but the comments responding to these postings that were put out worded this way are really not good. I mean, don't get me wrong, there's some people that obviously care and are trying to be helpful. There's a lot of people that are running some type of personal agenda. I can't believe that people would speak about a missing persons case like this, just realizing that there's a family being affected. But unfortunately, when things are worded in a certain way, it kind of prompts some of that, and unfortunately that's what we have happening here. But for critical details, we do have a few. 24 years old, 5 foot 11 inches tall, weighing 150 pounds, brown hair, blue eyes. His father has also put out some videos on Facebook where he's given some additional physical characteristics. He does have some tattoos. On several of his fingers he has tattoos. One is an infinity sign, another is a dollar sign, and one is a wave. He also has a tattoo that says "Save Water" on his right knee. His family also notes that he doesn't grow in a full beard, and if you see the photos that we're looking at here on Maui Now, you can see he does have a little bit of chin hair or a goatee that he grows in occasionally here. But apparently his family has been very clear that he won't have a full beard if you do see him. So just another physical characteristic that you might be on the lookout for. They do have contact information here. Of course, I've got the contact information down below as well. So if you do have some information, if these pictures are already triggering a memory for you, or you think you've seen this guy somewhere, please use that contact information and get that info to the people that can actually help with this. So this is happening at Wailuku, Hawaii, and I do hope I'm saying that right. I know pronunciation could be a little tough in this area, but Wailuku is in and the county seat of Maui County, Hawaii, in the United States. The population was 15,313 at the 2010 census. In the early 20th century, Wailuku was the main tourist destination in Maui, though it has since been eclipsed with the rise of other resort towns. There are currently no hotels to speak of in Wailuku. And when I think about someone, if we are talking about a situation where maybe he is running away because he wants to not be in contact with his family and he wants to use drugs, a lot of areas that drug users are going to gravitate towards are probably going to be some form of hotel or low budget housing, some place where they can stay for a short period of time so they can use. Considering that they don't really have hotels to speak of in this area, I don't know if this would be a great area for him to stay in. And that's another consideration we have here is while Wailuku is pretty small with a population of just 15,000 people, he's on the island of Maui, which is a very large body of land. So there could be a lot of other factors that are going on with this case. There could be other locations that we should be looking at as well. Just a quick touch on Maui. The island of Maui is the second largest of the Hawaiian Islands at 727.2 square miles. It had a population in 2010 of over 144,000. So a lot more people there than just this initial 15,000 we were talking about. And like I said, I don't know that he would still be kind of in that localized area. For him to get around the islands, I don't know how difficult that would be. I don't know if he's the type of guy that would kind of work his way into, you know, getting on a boat and going somewhere else, or if he had means for travel. I know with the information that I've looked at, his mother says he doesn't have a passport, so probably wouldn't be international travel. Maybe he could be doing some type of local travel only, but just another consideration here. So because we don't have a name as profile, I do have his poster here. Let's just go through this again. I really want to make sure we get these critical details. 24 years old at the time of his disappearance. I believe he's actually 25 now. I think his birthday is in January. 5'11", 150 pounds, normal build, blue eyes, brown hair, and he is Caucasian. Here we get some circumstances on his disappearance. He moved from Kauai to Maui on September of 2019. The family last heard from Aiden in November of 2019. There have been unconfirmed sightings in the Wailuku and Hana area. A blonde woman named Lori was said to be with Aiden. And then, of course, they're asking that if you have any information, you can contact police, or there is also a Find Aiden Dungan Facebook page. I'll have a link to that in the description box below as well. I did find a personal Facebook page for him. It really doesn't have a ton of information, essentially just his picture and the fact that he went to Kauai High School, Kauai Community College, and that he was currently living in Wailuku. Other than that, he does have a big selection of friends that he's attached to here, but I'm not seeing anything for photos or any kind of other details about him, what his likes might be. I always just try to get that information in because you never know how those things might connect to where he is currently. But unfortunately, I can't find a lot of personal details on him at this point. Thankfully, Maui Now didn't only take that press release and kind of release that version of the story. They actually put some reporters on this and they did some work to kind of get into the details a little more. And I really appreciate that they did this because it really opens up the story. And I think for some people makes it a little bit less dismissive. But this is a posting that they did on February 13th, 2020. Devastated. That's what the parents of a missing island man are feeling as they plead for answers regarding their son's disappearance. 24-year-old Aidan Dungan moved to Maui from Kauai in September of 2019 to stay at a halfway house in Wailuku, according to family members. So here, we're at least getting a bit more context, a bit of a better understanding of what's going on. Is this someone that's dealing with substance abuse issues? Yes, that is totally obvious. Is there a reason why that might be happening? Yes, we're going to get some more details about that as well. But apparently he is staying at the halfway house right up until his disappearance. On the morning of November 7th, 2019, he spoke with his father via phone and reportedly said that he was doing fine, and he told his father that he was going to go and get a haircut. Family members say Aiden went missing from a residence in Wailuku at 9 p.m. on Thursday, November 7th, 2019. I'm seeing in other sources that they're saying that he actually went missing from the halfway house, that essentially he decided he was walking away from the halfway house. On a subsequent trip to Maui in November, Sam, that's his father, says he located his son's car while he was on the island searching for him. Now, this is where the story, for me personally, takes a big turn to a pretty big cause of concern. But first of all, we understand now that Aiden at least had a car. He was staying at a halfway house. So for me personally, this is quite a bit different than a post that goes out and says, hey, there's some guy, he's probably homeless. This is someone that had resources leading right up to his disappearance. But his father finds the car in a strange place. The car was parked at a private residence in Wailuku about 3 blocks from the living facility where Aiden was staying. There's some more strangeness about this. Let's listen to a clip from his father.
And the occupant told me and the police at the house that Aiden had left the car with him and that Aiden was leaving the island. We've not been able to get any information from the airlines as to whether he flew anywhere. We find it highly unlikely that he would abandon his car.
So his father's being very clear there. Doesn't think that Aiden would leave his car behind like that. And let's run down this assumption that he is falling off the wagon and he's deciding to turn his life back to some form of drug use. Are you really going to just give up an asset like that? I mean, at a minimum, wouldn't he be trying to sell his car so that he could use that money for more drug use? I'm also not sure about, I've kind of heard different stories about halfway houses. I've heard that some can be extremely effective. I've heard that others are like the best place that you could know for finding the narcotics that you're supposed to be staying away from. This is very strange to me that we have his car move only a matter of blocks from where that house is. And keep in mind that he's only in this area for a few months. So what type of social network does he have for making all this happen? This is very concerning to me that his car would appear at this other location. It's concerning to me that his father would be the person to find it, and in the way that he does. There's something extremely odd about all this that I'm just... it makes me worried about this case in a different way than just this is a guy that's just running away from his family and wants to go back to a life of drug use. Back to the article at Maui Now, we actually get some details that aren't in the video version. The individual indicated that Aiden said he was going to Europe. I personally don't know if I would buy a story where I bump into my missing son's car, I knock on this guy's door, and he's like, oh yeah, your son left it here. He said that he was going somewhere. Well, where's he going? Europe? I don't know, guys. This whole aspect of this story is leaving me with a really, really bad feeling. Aiden's mother, Lori Dungan, expressed concern via phone call with Maui Now, saying her son doesn't have a valid passport or the means to get there. Now, once again, if this guy, if there would have been some angle where he sold the car to this guy that wound up having it, then I think the family wouldn't make this assumption that maybe he didn't have the means to get there. So obviously the family is not hearing from this guy, oh yeah, I bought it from your son for $1,000 or whatever, because they're not having that consideration with the news source that they're talking to. So we really have to believe that this guy told them, yeah, your son just gave it to me and said, I'm leaving Hawaii, I'm going to Europe somewhere. After leaving a halfway house, obviously he's suffering with some type of addiction issue. This whole part of the story is very, very strange. Aiden's parents said the case was initially classified as a personal assist, and they were unaware that their son was not initially listed as missing. Now, this is problematic because this is what I'm talking about with how late all these press releases are coming out. Everything's coming out at the start of February about this case. He's already missing for 2 months at that point. So this is an extremely slow start to a missing persons case. After navigating the system, they filed a missing person report and a notice was issued to media 5 days ago. And keep in mind, this article is written on November 13th. Family members say he has a history of mental illness and described him as nonviolent and gentle. And Maui Police Lieutenant Audra Sellers tells Maui Now that there haven't been any good leads to date and Aiden remains missing. So now we're getting, not only is this guy suffering with a addiction of some type, he's also dealing with a mental illness. And we're going to get some more details about all this from another article at Hawaii News Now. But I do just want to thank Wendy Osher for her coverage on this case and everyone that produced the video package. Basically, for looking into this case, it boils down to these two articles, this one at Maui Now and then this other one at Hawaii News Now, which also does have a video package attached as well. So once again, to everyone that helped produce these pieces, thank you for helping this family. Let's get into the details. It's been 3 months since anyone has seen or heard from Aidan Dungan. Dungan suffers from schizoaffective disorder, a severe mental illness. Before he was diagnosed, he used drugs to cope with his disease. Eventually, with doctors' help, Aiden got the medicine that he needed and began working and flourishing. After moving from Kauai to Maui in September, switching doctors, and trying to balance his schedule, Aiden ran out of medication. He eventually lost his job and started spiraling downward. That could be another helpful piece of information just in terms about knowing what occupations he worked at, what he was skilled at, because then we might know places to look for how he could be making money currently. Just something that, let me just put the invite out there. Sam and Lori, the parents of Aiden, if there's enough additional information that you guys want to share here on the channel, please get in contact with me. You can email me at john@lordenarts.com. We will definitely set up an interview with you guys and try to keep raising exposure to this case. I know that you guys are fighting an uphill battle when it comes to the social media exposure. So if there is more that we can do to help you guys with that, I certainly want to do it. And I do think that filling in some gaps like that, just kind of giving us a bit more backstory into his personality, things that he's good at doing, previous occupations that he's had, those might be helpful indicators of where people should be looking for him currently. And of course, I'm sure there's much more information that you guys might have about this case that might be worth sharing at this time. So the invite is open. So Aiden runs out of medication. We know that he struggles with a disorder and he has addiction issues. Of course, what do you think happens when he runs out of medication? He probably starts to self-medicate, or at least looks for some avenue to start self-medicating. Sam was told that his son walked away from his halfway house in Wailuku that night. So that's how we know that he was at the halfway house right up till then. So like I said earlier, is it fair for law enforcement to put out a press release saying that they think that he's homeless at this time? I certainly think that's fair. He doesn't have his vehicle. Apparently, he also left everything behind at the house, his clothes, everything. He did take his cell phone, which is interesting. I don't know who's paying for his cell phone, so I don't know if they're having difficulty getting to his records, but it does seem like his cell phone was on for a few days after he disappeared. He wasn't answering it. It was just ringing through, but as long as it was on, that should at least mean, at a minimum, they should be able to tell what cell phone towers were trying to reach his phone. And first of all, just note, was it moving around? Was it staying at the same location? But I don't know if law enforcement is able to do that. We're talking about an adult. Yes, he has the right to disappear if he wants to disappear. So I don't know if they've been able to get some type of warrant or court order to help them get those records yet. Jumping over to the Find Aiden Dungan page, his dad did a post here I wanted to share with you guys, and it was kind of him replying to that story that I just shared with you from Hawaii News Now. This is Aiden's dad. Thank you to Hawaii News Now for their piece on Aiden last night. I do need to point out one incorrect thing that's important. Schizoaffective disorder is not a more serious form of schizophrenia. Now, in the written piece, I didn't see them say that. It might be in the video package, or it could be that it was in the written piece and they've removed it since he told them about this, but I didn't note it in the written piece. It's actually a milder form. Even without medication, he will be fine for weeks and then experience psychotic episodes which last a few days. Some people actually totally recover. Others live perfectly normal lives with the help of medication. He's quite intelligent, and even if experiencing an episode, will not be dancing in the street or ranting incoherently. He would be timid and scared. Most of the time, he will be quite normal. If he is alive, he doesn't want to be found. So if asked, he'll probably give a fake name. So anyone looking out for him, we can't thank you enough. Please check out Kimberlyn Scott's Facebook page. I actually did. She is very helpful for missing persons cases in the Hawaii area as well. And I'm really thankful that she's helping out this family. So just a quick shout out to Kimberlyn. Keep up the amazing work. And I just want to learn a little bit more about schizoaffective disorder. Unfortunately, in many of the cases that we cover here on the channel, mental illnesses do come up, and especially for a missing persons case, you have to wonder what impact that is having on the whereabouts of that person. So let's learn a little bit more about this from NAMI.org. That's the National Alliance on Mental Illness. Schizoaffective disorder is a chronic mental health condition characterized primarily by symptoms of schizophrenia, such as hallucinations or delusions, and symptoms of a mood disorder, such as mania and depression. Many people with schizoaffective disorder are often incorrectly diagnosed at first with bipolar disorder or schizophrenia. Co-occurring substance use disorders are a serious risk and require integrated treatment. So here we know he's already got something very tough to deal with in terms of this disorder. But then on top of that, if you compound that with substance abuse issues, which frequently happen for people that are dealing with mental illness because they are trying to self-medicate, it's a serious risk and requires integrated treatment. This alone, I would think, should help push the classification of his missing persons case to endangered. Because we know he's leaving a halfway house. That's a pretty strong indicator that he's probably going to get back into some type of substance abuse. And knowing that that compounded with his disorder presents serious risk, if I was his family, I would ask about trying to elevate the case to a endangered missing persons case. The symptoms of schizoaffective disorder can be severe: hallucinations, delusions, disorganized thinking. Now that kind of hit for me when I read that, because I was thinking about the possibility of him driving to this guy's house and leaving his car with him. Could that have been something that was happening while he was in the throes of his mental illness? Possibly, especially with it being listed as kind of a direct symptom here. So I know earlier I was saying that guy's story isn't really easy to believe and it's kind of hard to hold up for me. Here we're finding that there's a condition where maybe that story is what it seems like on its face. On top of that, depressed mood and manic behavior also symptoms. For causes, the exact cause of this disorder is unknown, but for treatment, there are medications, psychotherapy, and self-management strategies and education. And like his father said, some people can live a perfectly normal life with this, but it does have to be treated. And as we heard in this story, it's like he had good treatment going for it, and then unfortunately he had a life change. New doctor, ran out of medications, rolled out of his job. All of a sudden, he doesn't have the resources for his medications. I mean, it truly does sound like a downward spiral situation. The thing I'm concerned about is that a downward spiral towards him running from his life and burying himself in substance abuse? Or is it a downward spiral that made him vulnerable to something else that could have happened to him? And that's where I really get concerned. So that's all we have really for the details of this case, but I do want to share just a few more messages from his family with you. This is from the Facebook page for his brother, Lachlan. Thank you to everybody that has been involved in the search for my little brother, Aiden Dungan. He has been in his share of trouble and was dealt a tough hand, but he has one of the biggest hearts I know. We love and miss him like crazy. Please keep the tips, sightings, and leads coming and sharing this page, and I know we will find him soon. Thank you, everyone. And just a quick message from Aiden's father, Sam, directly to Aiden.
Aiden, if you hear this, We're looking for you. We're from Kauai, but as you know, but we're here on Maui looking for you. I've been here for a while, and your mom is coming next week with Nanny. Even if we're not on the island, you can call us and we'll be here in an hour to pick you up. We're all looking for you. We love you. There's another angel out there looking for you named Kimberly Scott. She's been helping us. She's amazing. If you see her and she approaches you, please trust her, and she'll give us a call. We love you, Aiden, and we'll come get you in a heartbeat.
I think that's a best case situation. If Aiden is out there, I hope that he sees this video or sees his family looking for him and gets a message back to them. And Aiden, it could be as simple as going to a library and, firing up a computer, sending an email. I know you probably wouldn't feel comfortable if you are using substances at this point. You probably don't want to go to a police station, but I have had cases before where people will go to a police station and say, hey, you know what? I know they're looking for me. Stop. I'm here. I'm fine. I just want to be on my own. There are numerous ways that you can make contact and let them know that they don't need to be looking for you. So if you do see this, I hope that you'll consider doing that. I'm also concerned that we have something else going on here, Brain Scratchers. Let's talk more about that in the comments down below. Please remember that we need to remain respectful. I'm positive that Sam and Lori are going to see this video, and Sam and Lori know that there are a lot of people out here that want to help. I've also got a list of tips and kind of expectations for missing persons cases. It's in the description box below. You guys might want to check that out. There might be something helpful in there to help you get through all this. And of course, if there's anything that I can do for you personally, you already have my email. Please feel free to reach out. Brain Scratchers, if you have friends or family on the island of Maui, we need to help this family raise exposure to this case. We pretty much saw all the information that's out there about this. There are several more articles, but they're basically just copies of that initial press release. And kind of as I've pointed out in this video, that press release isn't the most helpful in terms of gathering support around this case. So please help us with that. Please share this video with your friends and family in Maui. Before I end today's video, I want to thank several people on Patreon. Thank you to Amber Dish, who increased her pledge. I really appreciate that. Thank you so much, Amber. As well as H. Miller also increased their pledge. Thank you. On top of that, we have a few new patrons. Michelle Fairbanks, thank you. And Elena Proskoriakova. I really hope I said that right, Elena, but thank you so much for supporting the channel on Patreon. If you want to do the same, you can head over to www.lordandarts.com. Thank you for caring about these cases like I do. Thank you for your help in terms of raising exposure, and thank you for helping these families. Take care, everyone. I'll see you back here on Friday with a brand new episode of Brain Scratch on the Lord and Arts channel.